Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a vehicle that looks like it was handcrafted by your grandma's carpenter, powered by your uncle's lawn trimmer, and somehow still manages to charm the pants off tourists on the Amalfi Coast? Well, buckle up if you can find a seatbelt on this thing, because today we're talking about Italy's most adorable buzzbox, the 1952 Piaggio Ape Calessino. It's not quite a car, not quite a scooter, but fully capable of carrying 2 passengers, 3 beach bags, and a bottle of limoncello, provided you bribe the driver with espresso. Before we begin this 3-wheel joyride down a cobblestone memory lane, give that subscribe button a loving tap, like you're coaxing a grumpy Vespa to start on a cold morning. No push required. We promise more peculiar machines and fewer awkward family dinners. Now let's rewind the reel to post-war Italy, when people had fewer coins in their pockets, but more flair in their garages, if they had garages at all. In the bomb-cratered wake of World War II, Italy needed a cheap, practical way to move people and cargo through the narrow streets of ancient towns. Enter Piaggio, the company that had just revolutionized the scooter world with the Vespa. It was 1948, and aircraft engineer Corradino D'Ascanio, yes, the man who previously designed helicopters, was recruited to help Italians conquer land. Under the watchful eye of Enrico Piaggio, the Ape B was born as a cousin to the Vespa, Wasp. But we're not here to talk about crates and carrots. No, we're focused on the elegant and rare Calessino variant, a passenger-focused spin-off that took the Ape's scooter bones and dressed them up in wood, canvas, and charm. Designed as a sort of motorized carriage for tourists and local taxis, the Calessino was lightweight, slow, and almost completely impractical by modern standards. In other words, perfect. The first version, the Model A, 1948 to 1952, used a 125cc air-cooled 2-stroke mounted in scooter fashion ahead of the cargo bed. It was the same power plant found in the Vespa 125, making about 4 to 5 horsepower, which is coincidentally about the same as my friend Claudio's espresso machine. Top speed around 30 to 37 miles per hour, that's 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, assuming a tailwind and forgiving terrain. In 1952, the upgraded Model B arrived sporting a beefier 150cc engine and a less janky cable-operated 4-speed gearbox. Both versions kept the same quirky skateboard steel chassis with a single front wheel and 2 rear wheels on a solid axle. The brakes were of the hope and pray variety, drums front and rear, hand lever here, foot pedal there, and a parking brake somewhere in between. Suspension was rudimentary, a coiled spring with hydraulic shock at the front, torsion bar at the rear. Now, what made the Calessino truly special wasn't the mechanicals, which were as basic as a beach bar menu. It was the body, a delightful combination of a hardwood frame, masonite panels, and a folding canvas roof that looked like something a sailor would pitch as a tent. The whole vehicle was under 10 feet, long about 3 meters, weighed less than 660 pounds, 300 kilograms, and could carry a driver and 2 passengers on a wooden bench seat. Later variants could squeeze an extra tourist in front of the driver, assuming they didn't mind windburn. What it lacked in horsepower, it made up for in character. Fuel economy was a wallet-friendly 25 to 30 kilometers per litre, and the engine started via a hand-pull system that gave drivers a much-needed daily workout. There was no reverse gear until 1956, and even then it was a luxury. You didn't back up a Calessino, you simply drove around the block again. The Calessino wasn't mass-produced in big numbers. In fact, they were considered rare even in their prime. Most were hand-assembled with slightly different trim or paint jobs, often in bright greens, reds, or creams with canvas roofs in contrasting tones. Chrome trim sometimes made an appearance, but don't expect consistent factory standards. This was post-war Italy, not Stuttgart. They were dubbed Trivespa or Vespa in early brochures and sold for around 170,000 Italian lire, a pittance at the time, but equal to roughly 2,900 to 3,200 euros, or about $3,200 in today's money. Designed to shuttle tourists around Capri or Ischia, the Calessino became a moving postcard of the Dolce Vita era. It was what you hailed when you wanted to get from the port to the gelateria in style, if not speed. Design-wise, the Calessino was less car and more moving gazebo. You didn't open a door. You climbed in like you were joining a picnic basket on wheels. No windshield, no doors, no dashboard clutter, just a scooter handlebar, a bench, and a cloth roof you could roll back like a sardine tin. The wood-framed body panels gave it an artisanal vibe, like it had been whittled lovingly by a sunburned grandpa in Sorrento. And yet, for all its quaintness, it carried with it an air of joyful rebellion, a vehicle that didn't pretend to be serious, just seriously charming. It was this open-air whimsy that made it perfect for the narrow streets and bougainvillea-lined alleys of Italy's seaside towns. Tourists adored them. Locals treated them like motorized gondolas. Every Calessino looked like it belonged in a postcard, and often did. And while modern scooters went full plastic and aerodynamic, the Calessino clung to its old-world roots with varnish and canvas. Even within Piaggio's lineup, the Calessino stood apart. Commercial ape trucks hauled boxes and crates, but the Calessino? It hauled joy. The rare survivor today fetches far more than its cargo-hauling cousins. A beat-up ape flatbed might sell for a few thousand, but a clean, restored Calessino gets snapped up faster than Prosecco on a hot afternoon. So what's the going rate for this wooden wonder? Well, back in its prime, it cost around 170,000 lire. Again, that's about 2,900 euros, or $3,200 in today's terms. But fast forward to the 21st century, and collectors have gone full Fellini over these things. In December 2017, a 1953 Calessino sold for a hefty $45,600 at R.M. Sotheby's, New York. Another from 1954 pulled in $33,000 at their Arizona auction in 2021. Prices like that are enough to make Bob, my neighbor who once tried to convert a barbecue into a sidecar, clutch his wallet and hide in his bunker. Piaggio went nostalgic in 2007 with a limited edition Calessino run of 999 anniversary blue units, with Italian market pricing published around 9,150 euros, a bit later. Today, those tributes can command $15,000 to $20,000 on the collector market. But the original 1950s buggies? Those are the crown jewels. Low production, hand-built flair, that irresistible vintage Italian flavor make them the espresso shot of classic vehicles, small, strong, and guaranteed to make you grin. And here's the thing, for all its mechanical simplicity and modest performance, the Calessino shines because it didn't try to be anything but what it was. A lovable little people mover that brought sunshine wherever it buzzed. It's Italy's mobile hug. A wooden bee with a Vespa heart, a cabriolet for cobbled lanes and lemon groves. So if you ever stumble across one in a barn or on an auction block, give it a second look, and maybe a third. Just don't expect Bluetooth airbags or cup holders. Expect joy. And now, dear viewers, a final word from your good pal Timmy. If you ever feel like life's moving too fast, just remember the Calessino. It never hurried, it never worried, and it always got there in the end. With style. And possibly a slight oil leak. So embrace your inner scooter cab, enjoy the ride, and maybe throw a picnic blanket in the back. Just in case!